Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Nosipho Maseko, and I'm the girl that reads the Bible. So the Bible that I read is the NKJV, and because I'm reading it alongside the extra biblical books of the Apocrypha, I read it alongside the Sefer, which is this one. So I do a comparison between Jasher versus Genesis in order to, what is the word? Is it to justify? To justify reading actually the extra biblical books, of course, after reading the first biblical books that we have, in order for people who need extra information, people who are curious, and also just to know details of some of the things that actually Genesis, for now, because I'm comparing Genesis and Jasher, for now might have left out, that we can get details from the book of Jasher. So the first announcement that I wanted to make is I started with Genesis chapter 1 and Jasher chapter 1. However, the YouTube channel that I was using got deleted by YouTube. So therefore, because I was not backing up on any device, I was picking up on a page, which is a Brigteon page. That's the only way you can catch up, by going first there if you're interested, and starting from Genesis 1 and Jasher 1. And once you've caught up, you can come back and carry on here, because yeah, I don't have those videos except on that page. So having said that, I'm going to start. Today we're going to be doing Genesis chapter 10, Genesis chapter 11, as well as Jasher chapter 7. So I'm going to start with Genesis chapter 10. Without wasting any time, let's read. Now this is the genealogy of the sons of Noah: Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and sons were born to them after the flood. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim. The sons of and Dodamim, sorry. From these, the coastland peoples of the Gentiles were separated into their lands, everyone according to his language, according to their families, into their nations. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteka. And the sons of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, that is in the principal city. Mizraim begot Ludim, Animim, Lehabim, Nephtuhim, Pathrusim, and Kausuhim, from whom came the Philistines, and Kephtorim. Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, the Jebusite, the Amorite, and the Girgashite, the Hivite, the Archite, the Sunite, the Arvadite, the Zemarite, and the Hamathite. Afterward, the families of Canaanites were dispersed, and the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon as you go towards Gerar, as far as Gaza. Then as you go towards Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, as far as Lusha. These were the sons of Ham according to their families, according to their languages, in the lands and in their nations. And children were born to Shem, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother Japheth, the elder. And children were born to Shem, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder. The sons of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Aphasad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram were Uz, Hol, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad begot Salah, and Salah begot Eber. To Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in those days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan begot Almodad, and Shelef, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Oper, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan, and their dwelling place was from Mesha as you go towards Sephar, the mountain of the east. These were the sons of Shem according to their families, according to their languages, in their lands, according to their nations. These were the families of the sons of Noah according to their generations in their nations, and from these nations were divided on the earth after the flood. So basically here, okay, that is the whole of Genesis chapter 10, and it's basically just telling us about the sons of Noah after the flood and all the children that were born to them, and their families and their nations and their cities and stuff like that. So now I'm going to move on to the book of Jasher chapter 7, and let's read what Jasher has to say pertaining to that. Okay, Jasher chapter 7. And these are the names of the son of Noah: Japheth, Ham, and Shem. And children were born to them after the flood, for they had taken women before the flood. These are the sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Jabal, and Tubal, Meshech, and Tyrus, 7 sons. And the sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Rephaz, Tegamah, and the sons of Magog were Elikanaf and Lubal. And the children of Madai were Akon, Zilo, Chazon, and Lot. And the sons of Yavan were Elisha, Tashish, Kittim, Dudonim. And the sons of Tubal were Afi, Kesed, and Tuari. And the sons of Meshech were Dedan, Zaron, Shebashni. And the sons of Tyrus were Banib, Gera, Lupirion, and Gilak. These are the sons of Japheth according to their families, and their numbers in those days were about 460 men. And these are the sons of Ham: Cush, Mitzrayim, Put, and Canaan, 4 sons. And the sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Satekah. And the sons of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Mitzrayim were Lud, Anom, Patres, Kasenloth, Chaptor. And the sons of Put were Gebul, Hedan, Benah, and Adan. And the sons of Canaan were Zidon, Heth, Amori, Kegashi, Hivi, Aki, Soni, Arodi, Zimodi, Charoth. These are the sons of Ham according to their families, and their numbers in those days were about 730 men. And these are the sons of Shem: Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, Aram, 5 sons. And the sons of Elam were Shushan, Mokel, Hamun. And the sons of Ashur were Myres, Mokil. And the sons of Arphaxad were Shelek, Anar, and Ashkol. And the sons of Lud were Petor and Bizion. And the sons of Aram were Uz, Chul, Katha, and Mash. These are the sons of Shem according to their families, and their numbers in those days were about 300 men. These are the generations of Shem. Shem begat Arphaxad, and Arphaxad begat Shelach, and Shelach begat Eber, and to Eber were born 2 children. The name of one was Peleg, for in those days the sons of men were divided, and in the latter days the earth was divided. And the name of the second was Yoktan, meaning that in his day the lives of the sons of men were diminished and lessened. These are the sons of Joktan: Almodad, Shelet, Chazomoves, Yerak, Hadorum, Uzal, Tikla, Obel, Abimael, Sheba, Oper, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan, and Peleg his brother begat Ru, and Ru begat Seruch, and Seruch begat Nakor, and Nakor begat Terah, and Terah was 38 years old, and he begat Haran, and Nakor And Cush, the son of Ham, the son of Noah, took a woman in those days in his old age, and she bore a son, and they called him Nimrod, saying, at the time the sons of men again began to rebel and transgress against God. And the children grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly, for he was the son of his old age. So basically, Genesis chapter 10, and the first part up to Jasher chapter 7, the first part up to verse 22, 23 there. It is basically the same thing. It's just the genealogy and the men, because I don't hear where the women were, well, the daughters were mentioned. So yeah, and then I'm just gonna continue again and start over from verse 23, right? So I'm going to repeat a little bit. And Cush, the son of Ham, the son of Noah, took a woman in those days in his old age, and she bore a son, and they called his name Nimrod, saying, at the time the sons of men again began to rebel and transgress against God. And the child grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly, for he was the son of his old age. And the garments of the skin which God made for Adam and his woman when they went out of the garden were given to Cush. For after the death of Adam and his woman, the garments were given to Enoch, the son of Jared. And when Enoch was taken up to God, he gave them to Methuselah his son. And at the death of Methuselah, Noah took them and brought them into the ark, and they were with him until he went out of the ark. And in their going out, Ham stole those garments from Noah his father, and he took them and hid them from his brothers. And when Ham begat his firstborn, Cush, he gave him the garments in secret, and they were with Cush many days. And Cush also concealed them from his sons and brothers. And when Cush had begotten Nimrod, he gave him those garments through his love for him. And Nimrod grew up, and he was 23 years old. He put on the garments, and Nimrod became strong when he put on the garments, and God gave him might and strength, and he was a mighty hunter in the earth. Yea, he was mighty hunter in the field, and he hunted the animals, and he built altars, and he offered upon them animals before the Lord. And Nimrod strengthened himself, and he rose up from amongst his brethren, and he fought the battles of his brethren against all their enemies and round about. And the Lord delivered all the enemies of his brethren in his hands, and God prospered him from time to time in his battles, and he reigned upon the earth. Therefore it became current in those days, when a man ushered forth those that he had trained up for battle, he would say to them, like God did to Nimrod. He was a mighty hunter in the earth, who succeeded in battles and prevailed against his brethren, that he delivered them from the hands of their enemies, so that God strengthened so may God strengthen us and deliver us this day. So in the book, in Genesis, there is a little piece, I think a verse or two, that was talking about Nimrod, and it did mention that Nimrod became a mighty man in the book of Genesis. However, in the book of Jasher, we understand why actually Nimrod became a mighty man. It is said that when Adam and Eve died, right, the garments that God had given them when he took them out of the garden, remember, they had leaves on that they made themselves, but God slaughtered an animal and gave them garments of skin, right? And then those garments, because they were purely from God, they had a certain anointing on them, they had a certain power, they were special, because it was the garments that actually the Lord gave for Adam and Eve also to be able to survive out of the garden. So those garments that Adam and Eve wore landed in the hands of, it says, Enoch first, because remember when Adam and Eve, actually I think it's Adam, remember when Adam died, I said in the previous video or video 2 in one of the previous videos that when Adam died, there were many people that were still alive that were able to actually go and maybe ask him questions, because he was the first man, but he was on the earth while other people were also there, and one of those people was still Enoch. When Adam died, before Adam died, Enoch was already alive. So when Adam died, it is said in I think in Jasher 3 already, that the people who actually buried Adam were his sons, meaning it was Cain and Seth, and then also it was said that it was Enoch was also there, and who else? I think, let's read it. I think Methuselah or something, but it was just not the sons. So Jasher chapter 3, Jasher chapter 3 verse 14. And it was in the 56th year of the life of Lamech, when Adam died, 930 years old was he at his death, and his two sons, with Enoch and Methuselah his son, buried him with great pomp. So Enoch and his son Methuselah buried Adam, and then that is how Enoch had the garments that belonged to Adam and Eve. So it is said that when it was time for the flood, the garments were with Noah, which was the father, and he had put them in the ark. But then when they went out, one of the sons of Noah actually stole them, and the son is Ham. So Ham stole those garments from his father, right? And he took them and he'd hid them. And I would imagine that no one knew, and it would be like, where I went with these things in the ark. Where are they? And the brothers are just like, we don't know. And actually one of them actually knew, because one of them took them, and it says here that he took them and hid them from his brothers. And when Ham begot his firstborn son Cush, he gave it to them in secret. So therefore it was kept a secret that the garments were with them. And then after that, when Cush begot his son Nimrod, he says that he loved his son Nimrod so much because it was a son that he got in his old age. He decided that he's going to give those garments to him out of the love that he had for him. And indeed, when Nimrod was 23 or something like that, he wore those garments and he became mighty, because there was something about those garments that the Lord had put on them. He became mighty, and the Lord favored him. And yes, he did a lot of things. He was mighty hunter in the earth. He was mighty hunter in the field. When he went to battles, he would win, and all of these things. And that is how Nimrod became mighty. So in Genesis, it's just 2 verses telling us that he became mighty. But here we understand now how it came to pass that he became so mighty. That is Nimrod. So I'm going to continue from verse 34. And when Nimrod was 40 years old, at the time there was a war between his brethren and the children of Japheth. So they were in the power of their enemies. And Nimrod went forth at that time, and he assembled all the sons of Cush and their families, about 460 men, and he hired also from some of his friends and acquaintances about 80 men, and he gave them their hire, and he went with them to battle. And when he was on the road, Nimrod strengthened the hearts of the people that went with him. And he said to them, "Do not fear, neither be alarmed, for all our enemies will be delivered into our hands, and you may do with them as you please." And all the men that went were 500, and they fought against their enemies, and they destroyed them and subdued them. And Nimrod placed standing officers over them in their respective places, and he took some of their children as security, and they were all servants to Nimrod and his brethren. And Nimrod and all the people that were with him turned homeward. So it is said that there was a war going on, and Nimrod just gathered a few people, and indeed he told them that we're gonna win. And indeed, when they got there, they won. And each and every person that survived, Nimrod took as servants. So I'm going to continue from verse 39. And when Nimrod had joyfully returned from battle after having conquered his enemies. All his brethren, together with those who knew him before, assembled to make him king over them, and they placed a regal crown upon his head, and he set over his subjects and people, princes, judges and rulers, as in the custom amongst kings. And he placed Terah, the son of Nahor, the prince of his host, and he dignified him and elevated him above all his princes. So because he had won all these battles, the people decided that they're going to make him king. So they said, you know what, you are so mighty, you're so strong, you're so wise, you're all these things, and you are able to defeat our enemies for us. So therefore, we're going to place you as someone above us. You're going to be our king. And they gave him a crown. So therefore, once Nimrod was a king, he put the son of Terah, which his name is Nahor, as the second in command to him. So I'm going to continue reading from verse 42. And while he was reigning according to his heart's desire, after having conquered all his enemies around, he advised with his counselors to build a city for his palace, and they did so. And they found a large valley opposite the east, and they built him a large and extensive city. And Nimrod called the name of that city he built, is it Sinai or Shinar? For the Lord had vehemently shaken his enemies and destroyed them. And Nimrod dwelt in Shinar, and he reigned securely and fought with his enemies, and he subdued them, and he prospered in all his battles, and his kingdom became very great. And all nations and tongues heard of his fame, and they gathered themselves to him. And they bowed down to the earth, and they brought him offerings, and he became their Lord and King. And they all dwelt with him in the city of Shinar, and Nimrod reigned in the earth over all the sons of Noah, and they were all under his power and counsel. And all the earth was of one tongue and the words of union, but Nimrod did not go in the ways of the Lord, and he was more wicked than all men that were before him, for the days of the flood until those days. And he made gods of wood and stone, and he bowed down to them, and he rebelled against the Lord, and taught all his subjects and the people of the earth his wicked ways. And Mardon his son was more wicked than his father, and everyone that heard of the acts of Mardon the son of Nimrod would say concerning him, from the wicked goes forth wickedness. Therefore it became a proverb in the whole earth, saying, from the wicked goes forth wickedness. And it was current in those words of men from that time to this. So basically Nimrod actually became more greater when, after a certain few people had placed him as king, it so happened that the whole earth basically they were consecrated at a certain area. They were not spread out yet. It was a few years or a few decades after the flood, but those people also that were not included in actually asking Nimrod to be their king also decided that they're going to ask Nimrod to be their king as well. So they also basically put themselves subject to Nimrod. So therefore Nimrod became the highest king above all of them, because it says here that he reigned in the earth over all the sons of Noah. And mind you, Nimrod is like is it like a grandson to Noah, a grandson or a great-grandson? So basically he reigned above all the people that came from the ark, basically. Yes. So yeah, and then it says that Nimrod, after he became very wicked, it was the most wicked, to a point where when he got a son that became also wicked, there was a proverb going around where it says wickedness comes from wickedness, so they were both wicked. And we read before here, around here, that Nimrod became strong, and he would build altars for the Lord and offered upon them before the Lord. So there was a point where he would do right, because he would build altars and offer animals before the Lord. But somehow, maybe because of authority and all of that, he started changing, and he became wicked. So now I'm gonna go back to the book of Genesis. We are now reading Genesis chapter 11, right? Genesis chapter 11. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they were journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and dwelt there. Then they said to one another, Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They laid brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar, and they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, Indeed the people are one, and they all have one language. And this is what they began to do. Now nothing they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand each another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore its name is called Babel, because the Lord confused the language of the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. So we read in the book of Jasher that indeed Nimrod, after he had gathered a few people under him, that he decided that he's going to build a city, and that city was called, he built that city in a place called Shinar, right? And even here we hear that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there, right? But then after that, they decided that they were going to actually build a tower, and because they were of one accord, one mind, and they understood each other because they had one language at the time, they were going to succeed in actually building this tower. But the Lord saw that they were going to succeed because sometimes not even sometimes, when human beings or Adams and Eves of the earth decide on one thing, whether wicked or good, if they have that one mindset, they're going to achieve it, because that is what the Lord told us to do initially. He told us that we should subdue, we should replenish, and he even gave Adam the authority to name animals, remember? So everything that Adam said was established, and therefore if a group of human beings, whether they come in to do good or bad, if they have one mind, they may succeed in what they set themselves to. So therefore that is what the Lord saw from where he was, that these people are going to succeed in this thing that they want to do, which was a defiance to him, because as the Adams and the Eves, the Lord has given us this territory, like we are terrestrial beings. So he has given us this territory to actually be here. So there's a place where we are not, while we are like living beings in flesh, we are not supposed to surpass that level. So therefore, these people wanted to build a tower that starts here at the terrestrial but goes all the way up to the celestial, and that is not where Adam and Eve, like Adams and Eve, human beings, are supposed to be found, especially when they're still in flesh. So therefore the Lord saw that they're gonna achieve this thing, and he was like, no, I'm not gonna allow them to actually bypass their territory that I gave them. So he actually came down and he actually confused their languages, so that even in their one accord, they don't understand each other anymore. So therefore, they stopped building the tower. And then that city was called Babel, after it was... So, it is said that it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth. And from there, the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of the earth. So they scattered according to their languages. All right, so I'm going to continue reading from verse 10, still in Genesis chapter 11. This is the genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood, and after he begot Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and begot sons and daughters. Arphaxad lived 35 years and begot Salah, and he begot Salah, After he begot Salah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Salah lived 30 years and begot Eber. After he begot Eber, Salah lived 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Eber lived 34 years and begot Peleg. After he begot Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and begot sons and daughters. Peleg lived 30 years and begot Reu. After he begot Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and begot sons and daughters. Reu lived 32 years and begot Seruch. After he begot Seruch, Reu lived 207 years and begot sons and daughters. Seruch lived 30 years and begot Nahor. After he begot Nahor, Seruch lived 200 years and begot sons and daughters. Nahor lived 29 years and begot Terah. And after he begot Terah, Nahor lived 113 years and begot sons and daughters. Now Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. This is the genealogy of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, Haran. Haran begot Lot, and Haran died before his father Terah in his native land in the Ur of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took wives, and the name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren, she had no child. And Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abram's wife, and they went out with him from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan, and they came to Haran and dwelt there. So the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So basically, again, we go back to the genealogy of Shem, and it is evident that here the Bible just wanted to reach to Abraham. That is why only the details of the sons of Shem were mentioned here. So it is the genealogy of Shem all up to Terah, which is Abram's father. And basically we are told that after that, Terah, Abram's father with his three sons. Okay, the one son died, so the son of the son, which is his grandson, as well as Abram and their wives, moved to Haran and moved out of Ur of the Chaldeans. So it doesn't mention that they moved with Nahor, which is the third son, to Terah. And Haran had passed, so he took Haran's son, which is Lot, with the wives. So Abram and the wife, and Lot and the wife. And it doesn't mention anything about Nahor, and they moved out of Ur of the Chaldeans and into the land of, to go to the land of Canaan, and they came to Haran. So Canaan is the place, and Haran is the city, or the province or something like that, where they decided that they're gonna dwell. So and then that is Genesis chapter 11. I'm gonna go back to Jasher chapter 7, and I'm gonna continue from 49. And Terah, the son of Nahor, prince of Nimrod's host, was in those days very great in the sight of the king and his subjects, and the king and princes loved him, and they elevated him very high. And Terah took a woman, and her name was Amphelo, the daughter of Conebo. The woman of Terah conceived and bore a son in those days. Terah was 70 years old when he begat him, and he called the name of a son that was born to him Abram, because the king had raised him in those days and dignified him above all his princes that were with him. So basically, like I said, Genesis wanted to get to Abraham, right? So therefore, that's why it was mentioning the lineage of Shem, but in the line of Terah, where Terah is the father of Abram. So even here in the book of Jasher, we are told that Terah was a very great man, because he was the second in command to Nimrod, and he was loved by the people that he actually ruled over. And we are told that he actually had a wife, Amthelo, and the daughter of Konebo, right? And when Terah was 70 years old, that's when Abram was born to them. And we know that Terah had other sons, but they're not mentioned here because, like I said, the word just wants to get to Abram. So therefore, that is Jasher chapter 7. And that is where I'm going to end the video, and I'm gonna start with Jasher chapter 8 in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I just want to remind you that if you want to catch up by starting with Genesis 1 versus Jasher 1, please go to my Brigteon backup channel, because the YouTube channel where I used to post those videos was deleted. Fortunately, I was backing up there, but because I do not have space, I would delete after posting on both channels. So therefore, go there, catch up, and then come back if you're interested in doing that. And then another thing that I wanted to add is that there is a link in the description box to, if you're interested in reading for yourself the extra biblical books, the Apocrypha, there is a link where you can buy it from Amazon. Having said that, may the Lord bless you, may he keep you, may he cause his face to shine upon you, may he be gracious unto you, lift his countenance upon you, and give you peace. Until the next video. Goodbye.